Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Fucking morning. What the fuck is going on? No, it's not morning, Mark. It's not morning. Let me just shut some of these curtains because we've got a bit of very heavy light coming in, ladies and gentlemen. Let's just try that one. See what does that do for proceedings. Let's have a look. Still a bit bright there. Let's try this one across here somehow. Yes, very interesting. Just pull that across there like that. Should we try that one now? See. Oh, we're still a bit bright, ladies and gentlemen. We're still a bit bright, so we need to just cut that down a little bit more. So just 2 seconds here. Just bear with me. This is the technicalities, of course, of running a studio. It's actually really bright outside, to be honest. The light is very, very bright, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very bright. So, good evening, everyone. Here we are. It is, of course, the Fruit and Nut News on today, of course, is the 19th of April, 2026. We are, of course, the evening time. The evening time. Well, what's been going on? Actually, nothing. Nothing is going on, ladies and gentlemen. It's all quiet on the Western Front. Not. So, what do we got for you? Let's pop the glasses on and see what the crack is. Yeah, good evening, everyone. Hope we're all okay. Just a quick hello. A quick hello to everybody. A quick hello. That's it. Glasses clean there. Glasses clean. Beautiful stuff. So we've got Dave Hunter's in, Gradders is in, Looney Lena, Natalie Bowen's joining us, Sheila Douglas, Anita Staff is in. Anita's a new one, I think. Denise is in, Ann Taylor's in, Pam Keenan's in, Jill's in, Sharon Young's in, Patricia Michael's in, Ireland is in, Graham's in, Belinda's in, Steve Osborne is in, Jackie J's in, Sue from Cardiff's in, Charlene Lamborghini, of course, is in, Lisa Thurwell's in, Mark Cass is in. How you doing, Mark? Joanne's in, Ava's in, Glenn Pierce is in, Jason Thomas is in, Strong World is in, Chris Taylor's in, Smarts is in, Dave Ling's in, Brady Corcoran, Carolyn Arby, Martha Brink, Jen Mesa, Leslie's in, Christina's in, Lisa McCulloch, John Brink is in, and that is about it. So we've got about 40 people in tonight. So good evening, everyone. So what have we got for you today? Well, of course, we've got all the benders out and about, ladies and gentlemen. Tommy Robinson's back on the scene now. Tommy's come back from Israel. And after a rather sustained holiday from his last fundraising adventure, and now he's once again begging for money. Now, my question is, what's happened to all of Tommy's donors? We seem to be running a bit thin now on funds. The last session, Tommy was asking for 60,000 for extra staging, apparently. So, very interesting. And, once again, he's asking for more money. Now, I don't quite know what this money's for, but, I'm presuming it is for marches, etc., etc., etc. We've just had the one in London, which I'm not quite sure how it's gone. I don't really know what's gone on. Doesn't seem to be too much on Telegram about it, which is actually quite interesting. Now, for all of those people that think that we've got a justice system, that we've got a justice system not only in the USA and the UK, but no, we haven't. This is a case of a convicted rapist who raped a 8-year-old girl in America. There's loads of cases. And the judge let him off. I think he was about 25, 26. American national, from what I can gather, no ethnicity problems, but he was let off. Now, what a lot of people don't understand is that the justice system itself is not broken. No, the justice system is not broken. Okay, it's basically designed the way it is, and you think it's broken. It's not. The justice system does exactly what it's supposed to do, which of course protects paedophiles, rapists, and criminals. And of course, basically, it is of course part of the Bar Association, even in America. And this Bar Association, of course, is linked to the military law. It's linked to maritime law. It's linked to the financial system. Oh, it's just endless. Okay, and it's corrupted. It's corrupted through and through. And so the system that we are operating in at the moment is designed that way and was designed that way for a purpose. And the idea is corruption, money laundering, drugs, all kinds of shit goes on. Trafficking, child abuse, neglect, unbelievable. So don't be for 1 minute thinking that the justice system is broken. It's not. It's designed to work exactly how it should be working, or is working. Now, Zelensky, it seems as though that a passport seems to have popped up. I'm not sure whether or not this was at the recent Jewish attacks in London, but very interesting that Zelensky, his nationality is, of course, Israeli. Now, normally they would have dual passports or dual citizenship if they are friends of Israel, which Zelensky clearly is. Zelensky was put in there, as you well know, by Barack Obama back in 2014. Before that, Zelensky was a gay, leather-clad Caribbean dancer without the blackness, and basically was, doing turns in pubs and bars across, of course, Ukraine, earning a few quid. But he was approached basically to do a proxy war against Russia and create a narrative of, what should we say, victimhood. And he's done that really well, because the majority of the people across the world have fallen for it. Unfortunately, we didn't, just like we didn't fall for the jabs, and just like we don't fall for the bullshit that's going on at the moment. Now, of course, anybody that is a friend of Israel, of course, is, of course, highly in the loop. And we, of course, are talking Rachel Reeves, Keir Starmer, we're talking Lammy, we're talking Wes Streeting. There's a fucking whole bunch of them. Not only just in the Labour Party, but also in all of the other parties as well. So if you come across a friend of Israel, then basically you know that they are Mossad or Israeli assets. A very interesting Israeli asset was, of course, Keir Starmer. Now, if you can remember back in the day, Jeremy Corbyn was a very working class chappie. And then all of a sudden what happened is Jeremy Corbyn got brandished with the anti-Semitism stick that is wielded about by, of course, the pretend Jewish community. And what happens there is that Jeremy Corbyn was basically ousted, and he was replaced in regards with Keir Starmer. Now, Keir Starmer is what we would class as a bum boy, and Keir Starmer is one of those men that will do as he is told. And despite the fact that it goes against every grain of his body, and you can tell that by the way that he is acting in public at the moment. Everything he's talking about is not co-current with, of course, what he's actually sinking. He's actually being made to say all these things because, of course, he's sold himself out to the devil. But anyway, that's another story. So there we go. Now, did you know, and I didn't know this, but did you know that the American taxpayer is still sending $43 million a week, okay, to Afghanistan on a plane, on a pallet? Hey, can you believe that? Well, I can. And going back to, of course, Keir Starmer, a few days ago now, Keir Starmer had the opportunity to basically stick up for girls and boys, and also women and sometimes men around the world. And in the UK, and this is in regard to sex offending. Now, I didn't know, but a sex offender is allowed to change their names. They're also allowed to transition or pretend to be Claire or Roger or whatever it happens to be. Roger's an apt name, in order to hide their identity from criminal checks. Very interesting. So this loophole was supposed to be changed, but of course it wasn't. It was voted against. Very interesting. Now, also as well, immigrants, illegal immigrants that are being not only harboured by the government, but also protected by, of course, the police, even though they are committing a crime, and even though it is a crime to protect and harbour illegal immigrants, the practice continues. Now, of course, immigrants are now also quickly realising that if they pretend to be gay or they are suffering any type of domestic abuse, then they can basically have their asylum applications turned over. There was a recent case of a man that couldn't return to Afghanistan because his son had become addicted to English Kentucky Fried Chicken. And so the judge deemed that it would be against his human rights to basically send him back to Afghanistan, even though the man in question was a convicted criminal, and the Kentucky Fried Chicken was nothing to do with him. It was to do with a member of his 200-plus family. Very interesting. And of course, in regards to Starmer protecting paedophiles, you don't really have to look any further than the case of Jimmy Savile, Keir Starmer, and of course the Crown Prosecution Service. Now, you may or may not understand the trickery involved with the Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz, of course, has nothing to do with Iran. No, it has everything to do with London. It has everything to do with the fact that London are losing $1 billion every 2 days, which is around $12 billion a month, which is quite a serious amount of shit. Know what I mean? And it's clear that these people are panicking rather quickly. This, of course, has to do with, of course, the Lloyds of London. I'm going to go into this in a bit more detail from Susan Kokinder so that you can understand it. Iran itself is not being attacked. What's being attacked is the regime in Iran that has been controlling the world economy for the last 100 years, maybe a bit less. I don't quite know, but don't forget that Iran was originally called Persia, and Persia was run originally by an old-fashioned Ayatollah, a well-respected man, what we would class as our old royalty, but not only that, a righteous man, a bit like Colonel Gaddafi, etc., etc., etc. We know where that went. This, of course, was he was named the Shah of Iran. Now, I was privileged enough to speak to a lady today who happened to be my customer. And basically, she told me the story of what happened in Iran and how the British overthrew the Shah of Iran and replaced him with the regime that they've got at the moment. And she didn't fully understand what had happened, but I did, because I knew what was going on there. I didn't go into any details because I didn't want to confuse her. But, of course, the original Shah of Iran was replaced by a British communist regime that basically turned Persia into Iran, and a very controlled Muslim state. Now, Persia was known for its vibrant colours, national dress. There were no burqas in Persia back in the day. There were no burqas in Iran until, of course, the Muslim Brotherhood got involved, and then everything went tits up. The lady in question today told me that it happened very quickly, and Persia was a very, very fashionable place back in the 1960s, and I'm not quite sure what year it changed, but she said it changed overnight, very quickly. Particularly a bit like Libya. Libya was the same. Libya was, a mini-skirted. The ladies wore mini-skirts. The same with Persia, mini-skirts. 19 sort of 60, 65. And then, of course, Jason's just said that the communist regime took over in 1979. So that would actually fit with the story that I was told today. And, of course, I've got no reason to not believe my customer that was talking to me about it. So very interesting, that is. Very interesting. Now, let's look at apparently Londoners are under attack once again, and it's, of course, particularly the Jewish community. So here we are once again, finding ourselves in northwest London, where apparently a Kentish synagogue has been attacked. Now, apparently there was a little bit of smoke. We're not quite sure whether it was down to the burning of the bacon, but or the sausages. We're not quite sure. But anyway, there doesn't seem to be particularly any particular, shit going on. Now, I wanted to take you back to the 3 London ambulances that were attacked. It was broadcast that the Jewish population was once again under attack. Fucking hell, etc., etc., etc. And of course, when it turned out, it was particularly, I think it was either 3 or 4 Jewish men that actually attacked the Jewish ambulances. So that all went quiet and was quietly put under the table, of course. And then, of course, we have this, the Kentish Town bullshit that's going on. Now, apparently the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, is appalled that once again the Jewish community is being attacked. Once again, was it attacked or was it just a burnt bacon cob? Nobody seems to really know. But anyway, as we look back over the last few weeks, we of course have. First of all, China was blamed. Jeremy Corbyn was blamed for anti-Semitism. We've got Pakistan were also blamed. The Jewish community were also blamed for attacking themselves. Then, of course, it was blamed on Donald Trump. Then, of course, it was blamed on Russia. Even Mongolia got the blame for the Jewish rhetoric. Very interesting. And now, of course, the headlines are once again blaming somebody for the Jewish attacks. Apparently, it was the Iranians. This time, it was the fucking Iranians. And apparently as well, someone has just said that apparently Tottenham Hotspur fans were also to blame as well. I don't know. Maybe they were the ones that tried to cook a bacon sandwich on the on the synagogue cooker. It's absolutely fucking unbelievable. Now, meanwhile, apparently, the next 2 months we're going to see a rather very cold snap running its way across America. Geoengineering, maybe. Weather manipulation. Lockdown, maybe. Who fucking knows? You just can never tell. Meanwhile, now someone's just said that apparently one of the 3 ambulances has now been turned into a local burger van. Oh, dearie me. It's absolutely fucking hilarious. Now, meanwhile, of course, we have to mention the far right. Now, I don't know whether you've maybe noticed this or not, but, of course, the far right got a very interesting name in regards to protesting. But I wanted you to notice something about the protesters. Have you ever noticed that many of the protesters, Palestine Action, pro-fucking, pro-gays, whatever, LGBT, whatever you want to call it, right? Have you ever noticed that a lot of the protesters are basically wearing masks? And have you ever noticed that a lot of the police are also wearing masks? Have you ever noticed that? Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Why would somebody that is very passionate about their cause, why would they wear masks? Well, of course, that, of course, is to hide their identity. And, of course, as you well know, their identity is basically because they're getting paid. They're getting literally paid to do the job of protesting, because it always amazes me where all these fucking protesters come from. But of course, when you do a bit of research, you will of course find out that these people are all part of the same organisation. Some say that they are a group of people that will just wave a flag basically for any particular cause. And what they do they basically infiltrate and create a crowd that basically becomes rather hostile. We would class them as controlled opposition. We would say that the crowd had been infiltrated. One of the main sponsors of these people is, of course, George Soros, as you well know. You will know about George Soros, bit of a dick. Absolutely convinced the man's already dead, but anyway, we shall let that play out. And of course, when you start to think about, let's think about 9/11. Now, 9/11, all of a sudden, within hours, there was some, Afghanistan, Iraqi passports found in the millions and millions of tons of rubble and debris and bodies and bones, and fucking hell, they happened to find. And then it was Al Qaeda. Then when we moved on to Afghanistan, it was ISIS and the Taliban. These people are all of the same people. They are all the same people. So it's it's really, really interesting to see. Somebody's just said good night all. Very interesting. Very interesting. Good night, Smarties. Good night, Smarties. Smarty must be having an early night tonight. I only just saw your missed call, Smart. So let me know if you want me to give you a call, brother. All right, mate. See you soon. Okay, so let's just now focus on what I've tried to do. I was listening to Susan Kokinder. I was sent something from Susan Kokinder in regards to what's happening. So what I wanted to do, I wanted to try and take some of her, take her comments and rhetoric and try and put it into some language, or should we say something that we can understand from a British perspective. So let's first of all look at the fact that the king is going to America. Now, we will end with the king going to America, but we'll start off by saying the king is going to America. Now, why would the king go to America? Well, the king has to go to America because, of course, the British establishment, i.e. Lloyd's of London, the financial system, they have got nowhere else to go apart from try to build the relationship back up with America, which is actual fact. They've got no fucking chance. Absolutely no chance. Okay. And it's very, very interesting to see what's going on. Now, let's just have a quick look at what's been said. So, Donald Trump basically turned around to it. Now, Donald Trump went into Iran with Israel. Okay. Now, you can draw your own conclusions about that. It doesn't take much working out, but I wanted to focus on Lebanon. Now, Donald Trump turned round and basically said to Israel, you will stop bombing Lebanon. We want to make Lebanon great again, and basically issued a warning to Netanyahu. Okay. Now remember that Israel itself needs to keep all of these wars going simply because, okay, they need an excuse basically to keep laundering the money and to keep making the wars. So you won't be surprised that Israel has more than likely funded Barack Obama putting in Zelensky in regards to the Ukraine. It's no no great shakes that Israel was responsible for 9/11. Israel was responsible for the death of Princess Diana. There's no, you can't fudge this shit anymore. It's just out there. Okay. Now, so Israel needs the war in Iran to keep going. Okay. Israel also needs the war in Lebanon to keep going. Now, remember that Israel funds Hezbollah in Lebanon. Okay, so it's basically exactly the same as what's happening in Gaza. Okay, it's exactly the same as what's happened all around the world. It's exactly the same as what's happening in Iran, etc., etc., etc. Now, remember that Israel don't want a two-state solution, whether anywhere in the world. Israel are looking to dominate all the time. Okay, now don't forget that Israel funded Hamas through Qatar. Now, what did Iran do in regards to Qatar? They bombed Qatar, bombed some serious infrastructure in Qatar. Qatar, Dubai, has lost now loads of fucking money in tourism, etc., etc., and it's going downhill every day. Apparently, the place is nearly shut down. So that's a very interesting move by the Iranians. Okay. Now, Scott Bessent has basically warned Rachel Reeves about the money. Okay. Now, don't forget that Rachel Reeves went to America for this big powwow shit went on, but Scott Bessent actually warned her about the money. Now, he wasn't warning her about, like, the money and overspending. He was warning her about Lloyd's of London and, of course, the financial system in regards to the square mile. Okay. She was swaggering around like she fucking owned the place. And of course, basically, as we well know, London is a deep state money laundering organisation through Lloyd's, Santander, and all kinds of back channels. The best part about it is that Scott Bessent and I would imagine Donald Trump have basically got all the information that they need in order to track all this shit that's gone on. Okay. Now, remember a few days ago, Donald Trump tweeted out about world extortion. We will not allow world extortion. So what was he saying? So what he was saying is that we will not allow world extortion through the Strait of Hormuz. Now, remember that Iran, which is a proxy for Britain, as I explained about Persia a few minutes ago, Lloyd's of London, okay, Lloyd's of London control the price of shipping through the Strait of Hormuz. They also control the oil prices, okay, of what goes on through the Strait of Hormuz, okay. The oil that comes out of Iran, which is often sold through the back door, and that's how they launder money. Now, remember, I think it was yesterday or the day before, I spoke to you about the new AI system that the banking organizations do not want to be put in place in the banking system. And this is because the money laundering will have to stop. Now, if you are shipping billions and billions and billions and trillions of dollars through Wall Street and the City of London, etc., etc., you will not want that AI control, because that control will be able to track everything. And I'm actually 100% sure that control is already in place. And it has been for probably 25, 30 years, okay? So, world extortion. Now, remember that London and the British colonials controlled the world economy for about a century. Let's just say a century. We could go back further, but there's not much point. So London is the gateway of the financial system, which basically fixes the price of gold, oil, precious metals, silver. It fixes the price of the economy. It fixes shipping rates through all kinds of ways. You know, you want to pass through certain points on the globe. Lloyd's of London, you know, fix that shipping. It's quite a lot of money as well for a tanker to go through. And then, of course, there's the oil prices. Oil and petrol go through. I mean, look at the UK. The UK are paying somewhere in the region now of just short of £2 a litre. That is basically £10 a gallon. When we look at America. Now, America are considerably cheaper. And my question about this is that, well, hold on a minute. The oil is coming out of the same pipelines, the same holes. Why are British people paying £2 a gallon? £10 a gallon, and America is paying about £1.80 a litre. A gallon. It's just unbelievable. Okay, unbelievable. Now, London recently had a military meeting, and basically the majority of the people that were supposed to be at this meeting weren't at the big meeting. This is one of the big military meetings that basically take place. I mean, we're talking about some serious fucking players get it. This meeting was basically, there's nobody fucking there. There was actually nobody there. Now, the British Air Marshal of the UK basically warned the meeting. He said, we haven't got a war plan. We've got no plan. We've never had a plan for a wartime setting since the Cold War. So we're looking, around about the 80s. All this shit finished. Okay, so it's really, 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 really interesting. Okay, and there was, what's his name? Is it John Healey? John Healey, the military advisor. Okay, he lied to the meeting and basically said that NATO is locked into protecting the UK and the EU. This is a crock of shite. Okay, this is an absolute crock of shite from John Healey, right? America, which is basically 80% NATO, has basically told the Europeans and the English, fuck off. The Americans have told the British to just stay out of the Hormuz Strait, okay? And the reason that they've done that is because they've got control of the strait. Now, the interesting part about this is that Iran's saying it's closed, America say it's open. So what happened is that Iran put a blockade in. Donald Trump did exactly the same, put a fucking blockade in on the other side. Okay, fucking brilliant. Then, of course, everybody's now travelling to America to get the oil. Fucking strangles the British rule. Strangles the British economy. Strangles the hold that Iran, or should we say the English, have on the oil, which is oil prices are controlled by London. And this is really interesting from a point of view of smashing the maritime law, the birth certificate scam, the Fiat Ponzi scheme, etc., etc. Okay, so what else have we got? When and then coming back to why the king is going to America, okay, the British find themselves now in a position where they've got nowhere to go. And this is clearly obvious from the behaviour of Keir Starmer. It's clearly obvious the way that Keir Starmer has run to France and, is trying to do this bullshit deal, with the Europeans, etc., etc. The Europeans will get blasted out the Strait of Hormuz, you know what I mean? So the panic, the London panic, is absolutely unbelievable. Okay, now you should already have noticed that this has never happened before. It's never happened before in my lifetime. Normally what would have happened by now is that if you remember the past, you would have had what they call quantitative easing. Now, quantitative easing hasn't happened for all kinds of different reasons. But normally what happens is that the Bank of England would print more money to bail out the system from collapsing. And what's happened now is that hasn't happened. And we are at a stage where, of course, the British banking system is going to collapse. It's not a question of if it's going to collapse. It's now only a question of when. Now, will there be some massive fallout from that? I don't know, because it's never happened before. So it's interesting. The only card now that the British have got to play, and this is probably the last card that we've got, and I have to say that I don't even know whether this is going to happen or not. The king is due to go to America on a state visit. I think it's around about the 25th of April. Now, we are, of course, about 6 days away from that. So a lot can happen within 6 days. A lot can happen within 6 days. So it is going to be very interesting as to whether or not the king will goes to America or not. I suppose that one of the ways that could be stopped is the announcement, of course, of the death of the king. That could be one way of maybe stalling things for a while. Don't forget, when the king dies, there is apparently 10 days of mourning. So that could be a trigger for other things to happen. So there is no doubt that London, there's no doubt that Westminster, there's no doubt that the people that are supposedly in power are panicking like wano. And of course, everything seems to be heading down the route of opening up our own oil fields, etc., etc., etc. I genuinely believe that the governmental system that we see not only in the UK but also in America as well and around the world, I genuinely believe that the political system will fall. Not quite sure how it's going to be replaced, but as we are seeing, Iran, Maduro in Venezuela, there's talk of Cuba at the moment. Okay, and basically these regimes are being changed. Now I cannot see that the American and the British regime cannot cannot not be changed. It has to change. So just like Iran, just like Iraq, just like Libya, just like all of these dictatorial, communist, Muslim Brotherhood fucking situations, they've all got to go. And it leaves us with some very interesting times ahead, and some very interesting thought processes as we move forward. Okay. I'm going to get myself off this evening. I'm going to get myself off this evening. As you well know, it is a very interesting time. It could be that Charles is being sent to the US to fall on his sword. In more ways maybe than one, we don't quite know. Anyway, listen, it's been a pleasure spending time with you again on this Sunday evening. Another Sunday evening. We are, of course, fast approaching the end of April, and we're into May. Summertime approaching very, very rapidly. Anyway, listen, take care, enjoy yourselves. We will see you all again soon. Loads and loads of stuff happening. Remember that things that you are seeing are sometimes not actually what is actually happening. And I do believe that there are many, many things that are happening that we are not aware of. Anyway, take care. Love you loads.